once again to Real Shame, a show where we talk about our list of movie blind spots, aka list of shame, aka how I learned to stop worrying and love the bomb. No, you can call it anything you want. No, but it's movies that we have not seen and we should have seen, and now we are seeing them, and we are talking about them, and we are saying stuff, and we're doing that. Yeah,
our lips are moving, things are coming out of our mouth.
That's right.
Our vocal folds are.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, my name's Andy.
I'm Adam.
And this week we're going to tackle a couple of movies that are from my list of shame, or at least one, the one we're talking about today, I have never seen before until now. And Adam is going to tell us all about this film.
All right. While his parents are away, Joel gets in over his head and decides to dabble in some risky business.
There's 50 for food, which should be more than enough. Another 50 for emergencies and an extra 25 just in case.
And don't forget to water the plants around the patio and the ficus in the dining room.
I wrote all that down. It's on the refrigerator door.
Dad, you want me to start your car?
Car will be fine, Joel.
I mean, for the battery, I mean.
Joel, please, you're not to use my car. You're not insured for it. Use the station wagon.
Use my car, honey.
Okay.
Joel, we understand each other?
Okay.
Oh, darling, as far as the house is concerned, just use your best judgment. You know we trust you.
Have a great time.
Be good.
We will, honey. You too. Bye.
Risky Business, movie that came out in 1983. It's written and directed by Paul Brickman. It's that movie that you've seen where Tom Cruise is in his Wayfarers in the pink Oxford bun-down and he slides across the floor. We've seen this.
And it's Tidy Whities.
It's Tidy Whities. We've seen this imitated in Saved by the Bell and numerous other media. It is a pop culture staple. It's a movie that he hasn't seen and I haven't seen. So Paul Brickman, he's actually, I looked at his filmography and he's a writer-director like he did for this movie. And he actually didn't write and direct a whole lot of stuff. He doesn't have a whole lot of credits. One of the movies they call out in the trivia of this movie is a movie he wrote and directed in 1990 called Men Don't Leave. And they said that that movie kind of shares the same themes as this movie. Have you seen Men Don't Leave?
No.
I have not either. I was kind of looking it up and I wanted to look at it and maybe watch it. It seemed like it doesn't have the same kind of it's not the same genre as this movie, but it might be interesting to watch at some point. Risky Business, also well known to me because Tangerine Dream did the score. Great score by Tangerine Dream. And pop culture, they did the score for Sorcerer, the truck movie, which you think of Sorcerer, you don't think of trucks. They did the score for Thief. I'm thinking of all the vinyl I have from Tangerine Dream. Yeah. They came known to me through the TV series Mr. Robot when they had a song from Tangerine Dream, which I think is from this movie on the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's like Love on a Real Train.
Yeah,
or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
They use that. Right.
So that's how I kind of learned of Tangerine Dream, enjoy that kind of music, and all that kind of stuff. This movie stars Tom Cruise as Joel, Rebecca de Mornay as Lana, Joey Pontiano, yes, Joey Pants as Guido. We have Richard, Masur as Rutherford, Bronson Pinchot as Barry, and Curtis Armstrong as Miles Dalby.
Bronson Pinchot, before he played Balky on Perfect Strangers.
He was Barry.
He's Barry.
Movie I haven't seen, but also a movie Andy hasn't seen. No. So I think I've said that more than once already. So would you know about Risky Business beforehand? And is there any reason why you haven't watched it? And what do you think about Risky Business now?
Yeah, there's no real reason why I haven't watched it. But so Tom Cruise had a busy 1983 because he made 4 movies in 1983. He did The Outsiders. He did All the Right Moves, which I also have not seen. I
don't know if I've seen The Outsiders.
Losing It, which I also haven't seen. Yeah. And he did Risky Business. So out of those 4 movies, I've only seen The Outsiders.
I've only seen 1 too.
Yeah, so this is a movie that I know I've seen bits and pieces of it on TV. And as you said, I've seen that scene where he's listening to old time rock and roll and he's sliding across the floor. And I also wrote he's jumping on couches in that part. And of course, he would do that on Oprah later on in
Many years later.
his career. But yeah. But no, I mean, it's not like I was avoiding this movie or like, you know, one of those stories that I've told before where my friends talked about it so much that I was afraid it would be overhyped or something like that. It's just a movie I've just never gotten around to seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, and I feel like because I had seen kind of the Bob Seger scene and, you know, other bits and pieces of it, I just felt like, yeah, I've probably seen enough of it, you know, just from TV clips here and there on TV. But yeah, I've never seen it in its entirety. But I finally got around to watching it because it's on my list. And I like this movie.
Yeah.
I did like it. I think that it's, you know, I mean, I like, you know, teen comedies when they're done well. I don't know that I consider this a teen comedy.
Yeah,
He's not necessarily a teen. I guess he is like a senior in high school because he's taking his SATs and stuff. But it's it's a very kind of adult and mature teen comedy, if you want to. I mean, if you consider him a teen because he's still 18 or 17 or whatever. I mean, it's a very kind of adult and mature teen comedy. I do think the score from Tangerine Dream is great, and it adds a lot to the movie. It gives it like this great kind of, well, it's Chicago, and it's just kind of this great kind of nighttime Chicago feel. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I could see why, you know, Tom Cruise obviously went on to be this huge megastar. This is one of his earliest roles. He'd done Taps, I know, before this, back in 1981, but this is probably his breakout role. Again, it's hard to say because he did 4 movies in 1983. I'm not sure which one came first, but I liked it overall. It's a different style of kind of teen comedy. It doesn't have a lot of like belly laughs or anything like that, but just to see this guy who, you know, I know you kind of said that it's reminded you of The Graduate, and it definitely reminded me of The Graduate as well. And I completely agree with that.
I think there's a lot of the same kind of themes, and like I was telling you, I think you can draw a straight line from The Graduate to this kind of movie, like to this movie exactly. I think. And
you don't have Simon and Garfunkel repeating the same songs. You instead have Tangerine Dream. So. There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, because you've got a guy who, in The Graduate, he's just graduated college and he's just not sure what he wants to do with his life. In this movie, he's about to graduate high school, but the same kind of thing. Yeah, he just doesn't know what to do with his life. He wants to go to, is it Princeton that he wants to go to? Is that where he gets the interview?
I mean, he gets the interview with, was it Dan Rutherford who came in as the actor, right? Who's the Princeton guy, but
yeah, Richard Masur or whatever is the guy, the actor's name.
Okay.
Yeah, Rutherford. The Princeton guy. So he wants to go to Princeton.
I think his dad gets him set up with an interview for Princeton, but he's talking to his friends, like one of them was going to Harvard and all that kind of stuff. I think he wants to go to a Ivy League school. Yeah.
Just whatever. But so he has aspirations, but he's not really the best student.
Yeah.
You know, he does this future enterprisers thing to do this business thing, and so because it looks good on his resume and all this kind of stuff, but he's not got a real clear direction, kind of like Benjamin in The Graduate, just doesn't really know what he wants to do. So I definitely see some similarities there. But yeah, he ends up kind of starting his own risky business in this film.
At least for one night.
The title is appropriate. But yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I think Rebecca de Mornay is good. It's nice to see like Bronson Pinchot in a role that's not Balky. I mean, he's in other movies as well, but that's kind of what he's
Serge and
really
Beverly Hills Cop.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, but and Curtis Armstrong is, I always think of him as Booger from the Revenge of the Nerds movies and Joey Pants. But this is just a nice, pretty fun movie.
Yeah.
Again, I will say I thought it was odd because he daydreams a lot, you know, and he has like a daydream about being on top of the babysitter, and he has a dream about the lady at the beginning in the shower. When Rebecca de Mornay first shows up,
you thought it was a dream?
I thought it was a dream because doesn't it look like a dream?
Well, I think that's what the movie was trying to.
But I thought he was gonna wake up, but then the next morning she's like there, and he's like, "Yeah, we had a great fun last night." I was like, "Really? That happened?"
Yeah. I mean, because she like lets herself in the house and all that. Lets herself
in the house and just he starts untruthing. Well, and it's like, isn't this guy like a virgin? But like suddenly he's like this master, master in the bedroom or whatever. Like they're having sex like all over the place. I'm like, that's not realistic.
I can definitely understand how confusing that is, but I think that was purposeful.
Yeah, I mean, but it just was like, there's no way. She would have started taking clothes off, and he'd been like, "Oh, okay, I'm done." Like, I mean, it's like, that's a small complaint. But overall, I mean, I liked it. I had a good time with it. I mean, this is a movie that I could definitely see myself watching again.
Yeah.
So what about you? You've also never seen this movie?
Never seen this movie. I'm like you. I'm favorable to this movie, although I do feel a little mixed about bits and pieces of it. I feel like this movie's trying to do a whole lot, and I don't know. And I feel like if it pared down what it was trying to do, it would have been better for me. Like, I do like the dream sequences, but I do agree with you. Sometimes they're a bit confusing or a bit much, but I do like that it adds this kind of like otherworldliness to this movie for whatever reason. Even though it's like
And the score, I think,
Yeah, yeah.
really goes along with that well, yeah.
yeah, and even though it's about like a white boy like kind of stuff, like nothing like really a kid in the suburbs that lives near
Yeah.
like in Chicago.
Rough
So-
life.
Yeah. Because it feels like this movie has like 3 different plots going on, because you have like, obviously him meeting Lana and all the stuff going that. Then you have, the egg's missing, and that kind of feels like of one story. But then all of a sudden, they have the car that needs to get repaired and all that kind of stuff. And like, feels like that could, in and of itself, could be a wholly different story.
Yeah.
Like almost like Ferris Bueller, I guess, kind of took that a little bit and kind of ran with that. And then like the stuff that's going on with like Joey Pants and Lana, I feel like that could be another story.
Yeah.
So for me, it felt like it was trying to split the difference between these 3 different things. And if they pared down to like one of them, it'd be really interesting. Because like once he meets Lana, all of his friend stuff kind of disappears a little bit.
Yeah.
Like they come back because he's like running basically a cat house out of his house. but you never have like any interaction with them. You never get their kind of feelings on it or anything like that, or them interjecting on it, or any kind of like the funness of him having like these call girls, these prostitutes at his house, and like his friends finding out, all that kind of stuff. Like all that, the movie doesn't deal with any of that.
Yeah.
And I feel like you would in a normal comedy have that kind of stuff. So for me, like, even though I found this movie kind of favorable, I think the score does a lot for the movie. Tom Cruise and Rebecca de Mornay does a lot for this movie, but I do feel like it kind of tries to do too much, tries to tackle too much, and I felt like if it maybe pared it down to, 2 of the 3 things, it would have been a little bit better for me and would have been a little bit cleaner of a movie.
For me, those kind of different plots, they do, for me anyway, make sense. My biggest problem with all that stuff is the whole like Guido stealing his furniture,
Yeah.
and then he has to buy it back, and then he quickly move it into the house while his parents
It's
are
like,
on the way.
how's that work?
I don't think that would have happened, but B, that just feels like they stuck that in to provide some tension.
Yeah.
Oh, it keeps cutting back to his parents driving in the taxi
Yeah.
home, cutting back to him moving and stuff cutting back to that. It almost feels like a Ferris Bueller's Day Off kind of thing. Like he's rushing to do this thing. Like in Ferris Bueller, he's rushing to get home before his parents get there. I felt like they just kind of interjected that to give it more. So I don't feel like Guido stealing his furniture. Like I thought what was going to happen was she was behind stealing his furniture,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I mean, that was it. And like in the end, she turned out to be a pretty bad person. She stole his mom's stupid egg or whatever.
Yeah.
She stole his furniture. She took him for everything he's worth, basically. And that was going to be the end of it. And I thought, well, lesson learned. He's like, he's got a taste of the real world now.
Yeah, yeah.
But it ends up, it's kind of like, oh no, she's like, oh, I'm not behind it. It was all him and stuff. So yeah, I could have done with that part without that
agree.
part.
I 100% agree.
But, yeah, for the most part, the rest of the movie, I felt like it did come together. Even the car going into the Porsche going into the lake or whatever, which, man, when that happens, I'm just like, oh no, because it's like stops right there at the end of the pier, and it's just like, but I mean, I knew that was coming, right? That you're like, no, it's gonna break under the weight of it. And sure enough, it's like, boom, you're like, oh no, not the Porsche.
Yeah, and I just don't know. I mean, I don't think you can ever repair a car where its dad did not know something like that would happen.
Yeah.
And plus, the car wouldn't get fixed by the time his parents came back. I don't know.
Probably not.
Maybe we're being a little too critical on that.
Don't think about it too hard. Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I kind of wish. I think you could have had something interesting without the car getting put into the lake and repairing the car and stuff like that. And I think like I said earlier, if we brought his friends back in and got some interestingness of his friends kind of seeing these girls, and we do get a little bit taste of it. We get Curtis talking about because his attitude is, what was it? Fuck it, right?
Yeah, basically, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck, right? And so that's what kind of led Joel into this, and you get him saying like, oh, he's set up, and he was really doesn't follow that own kind of philosophy, and then you have his other friends. So you get bits of it, but I think you could kind of milk that and mine that for some more comedic gold and stuff like that. Some like fish out of water kind of stuff.
I do like that very first part when Booger, or Curtis Armstrong's character, calls, is it Jackie?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I live at this address or whatever. The Jackie shows up, and not quite what he expected. I thought that part was awesome.
Yeah, was
he's just
funny.
like, hello. He's like, okay. But the guy that plays Jackie in Risky Business would go on to play Moselle in The Color of Money. Also, was Tom Cruise. I believe they play each other in pool. They're both pool sharks in that movie.
Cool.
He plays him in the pool hall. So yeah.
Very cool.
Pretty cool.
I was going to say that this thing has been included on American Film Institute's AFI's 1998 list of the 400 movies being nominated for the 100 greatest American movies. So it sounds like it didn't quite make the 100 greatest American movies list, but it was in that 400 movies that were nominated from that list. Originally, this movie was called, and I kind of hinted at it a little bit earlier, White Boys Off the Lake. And according to the writer-director Paul Buckman, the studio thought it sounded like an off-Broadway play, and I would have to agree with them.
Yeah.
I think I would not want to watch... I would, but it doesn't sound very interesting. White Boys Off the Lake.
Did Chet Hanks name this movie? Chet Hanks is the guy that Tom Hanks' son. Didn't he have that White Boy Summer song?
White Boy Summer, yeah.
Yeah. He must have named this movie or wanted to name it White Boys Off the Lake.
But yeah, that's so where do the critics fall on Risky Business?
It's 92% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, 72% audience score. It got 2 big thumbs up because it made number 9 on both Siskel and Ebert's top 10 lists of that year. Yeah, they liked it a lot, and they both picked the same movie for number 1 in 1983. Any ideas?
Was it one of the other Tom Cruise movies? Was The Outsiders?
No, in the movie, they're going to space.
Apollo 13?
Nope.
That's what that happened way after.
It's a New Kids on the Block song.
Right Stuff.
Babe. Yeah, they both picked number 1 as their number 1 film in 1983.
Never.
The Right Stuff.
Never
but
seen The Right Stuff.
Risky Business is number 9 on both of their top 10 lists of that year. So yeah, they liked it, and Leonard Maltin gives it 3 out of 4 stars.
Awesome.
And it's streaming on HBO Max currently. If you want to check it out or recheck it out.
That's where I watched it.
Yep.
All right. Well, that was Risky Business. On these Monday episodes, we like to talk about what we've been watching. So I'm going to toss it over to you. In addition to the movies this week, what have you been watching?
I watched some more horror movies.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, man. I've been on a big horror kick, I feel like, of the last month or something like that. So we watched, I believe it was last Halloween for the show, we watched VHS. Remember that? When we did our anthology weeks, we did VHS, From a Whisper to a Scream, and Vault of Horror, as I recall. And I, at that time, I think watched VHS 2, which I actually was more favorable than VHS because I don't really like VHS that much.
And then there's 2 or 3 other VHS movies.
There's 2 others, and I watched them.
So VHS Viral?
Viral is the third one, and VHS 94 is the fourth one. And I want to say there's like a VHS TV series maybe, or something. I could be wrong. I didn't watch that, if there is one. I only watched the other 2 movies, but I did not like either one of them. They're not very good. VHS Viral, at least mercifully, is only like an hour and 20 minutes. VHS 94 goes on forever. It's like an hour and 50 minutes or something. I don't know.
Is VHS 94... is that the one where it takes place in the house where the possession's going on, or is that VHS 2?
That's VHS 2, I think.
Yeah, because it has that 94 segment in 2, right?
Or is it VHS?
Oh, okay.
I think it may be VHS.
Because I remember...
Because that was like the best part, I think, of VHS, maybe.
I remember...
Or it's 1 or 2.
I remember watching more than just the VHS, but I don't remember how much.
I think you also watched VHS 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think I like VHS 2 better than VHS 1. I think you were the reverse.
Okay.
I think something like that. But yeah, VHS Viral and VHS 94. I mean, these movies have their fans. You know, there are people that are really, really gung ho about the VHS series. I wish that I was, but I'm just not. I just don't think, because like I understand with anthology films, you're going to have some hits and you're going to have some misses in the stories, but there's, to me, always more misses than hits.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's no good stories at all in either one of these 2 movies that I watched, but for the most part, most of them are bad. And the ones that are bad go on forever, you know? And so it's just like, oh my God, like let's hurry this up. In addition to those movies, I watched a remake of a movie that we're going to talk about on Wednesday.
All right.
But I won't say what that movie that we're going to talk about on Wednesday is because I'll leave that to you. But you might be able to guess it from the remake that I watched. Did you know that it was remade?
I did today. I looked it up, and so the movie you watched called Down with Love.
No, Love Don't Cost a Thing.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, Love Don't Cost a Thing with Nick Cannon and Christina Milian. So if
Okay.
you know what Love Don't Cost a Thing is, you will know what movie we're going to talk about on Wednesday is. But again, I'll leave that to Adam to tell you. But yeah, Love Don't Cost a Thing. I won't get too much into it because I don't want to spoil what I think about the movie that it's a remake of, since we're going to talk about that on Wednesday. But it's okay. I mean, it's I don't have anything against Nick Cannon. I know some people can't stand him or whatever for whatever reason. I have nothing against Nick Cannon. I like him in Drumline. I know I've seen him in. I've probably seen him in some other stuff. And Christina Milian is such a cutie, and she's just adorable. So they're two appealing leads. It's got Steve Harvey in it. Oh. Steve Harvey, I feel like the busiest man in show business. He is a little much, He they basically let him run wild with his riffing, and he is definitely a little too much. It also
play one of their parents.
Yeah, he's Nick Cannon's dad.
Okay, yeah.
He's Nick Cannon's dad, and yeah, he's over the top, But it has Kenan Thompson in it.
All right. Also, very busy man,
and also over the top in this movie. Does he very spastic.
Does he play the manager of Good Burger in this movie?
No, he's one of Nick Cannon's nerdy friends.
Oh, because I guess
yeah, he's one of he
would have been younger.
He's the redhead equivalent. He's the equivalent to the redhead of the movie that we're going to talk about on Wednesday. But Love and Don't Cost a Thing is okay. I mean, I'll say that it's not terrible. It's watchable. I could do without, and I like Steve Harvey, but I could do without Steve Harvey's riffing because it's not really all that funny for the most part. But it's okay.
You're like less Steve Harvey, more PJ Harvey.
Yeah, or more Christina Milian or something. Yeah. All right. What about you? What do you even watch?
I watched a new movie that came out on theaters, and I think it's out on demand right now. It's called Moonfall. It's Roland Emmerich doing what he does best, which is destroying the planet Earth.
Right.
This movie is a mess. And maybe not in the fun way that movies are a mess.
Yeah.
It's just kind of cacophonous and bombastic and not great. The thing that I find, and mostly I'd find this movie kind of be just harmless. But one thing I'm kind of ruffling my feathers a little bit, and I think he did this a little bit with Woody Harrelson's character in was it 2012 or whatever, is that he has a conspiracy theorist who ends up being right. Mm-hmm. And again, we like we said with Dr. Strangelove and all this stuff, we're not a political show, but I do feel like having someone who is believing untrue things being right in this day and age is probably doesn't sit well with me. Because I think people would see that as make them believe their strange, crazy beliefs even
it'll
more.
justify their
Because it's not. I don't think I'm spoiling anything, but he believes the moon's not some interplanet or this celestial body. He thinks it's a superstructure, which means it was made by something. So it's not what it seems. And I just
it's made of cheese, isn't it? The moon.
Yes, it is. It's delicious. Moon cheese.
Delicious.
So, and the fact, and I don't, that doesn't sit well with me these days. I don't know why. Maybe in a few years I'll feel better about that kind of stuff, but it's really just kind of no. So I would say normally I'd say this movie's just kind of harmless, but with that I'd say, no, actually this movie's kind of harmful. So, I would not suggest watching it unless you really want to watch something that is mind-numbingly messy. Afterwards, it felt like my head was buzzing because of how nonsensical the movie was and where it went and all that kind of stuff. So maybe that's something you're interested in and you want to check out. But for me, I can't recommend it at all. Mm. Not even for fun, making fun of it kind of watching kind of movie. I don't think I wouldn't even give it that.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been watching, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when it was coming out of the theaters, I think we kind of jokingly
Yeah.
talked about going to see it, but I really had no intention of watching it in the theaters, and it doesn't sound like I have any intention, based on what you said,
Yep.
of watching it anytime soon or ever.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I agree. I wish I was in your shoes. I wish I'd let someone else watch it and tell me not to watch it. So yeah, so that's what we've been watching. So we like to talk about what we're going to pair this movie with.
Yeah. Well, what did you pair it with?
So I was trying to. So I didn't know anything about Risky Business. I kind of read the synopsis, so I kind of knew what it was about, and I was looking for 80s movies that kind of have the same kind of feel or whatever. And I landed on a movie called Can't Buy Me Love, which you alluded to. I don't know if it's exactly in the same keeping with the same tone and all that kind of stuff, but you know, ultimately it's about paying someone to,
Yeah.
you know, it's let's say it's like unconventional romance. So like paying for unconventional romance. So I think in those they kind of are the same, but I would say other than that they're pretty separate kind of movies. But you know, you live and learn, and it's an interesting movie to watch with this. So that's what I decided to pair this with was 1987 Can't Buy Me Love.
Can't buy me love.
You can't unless you're Rebecca de Mornay.
Unless you're the Beatles.
Unless you're the Beatles.
Wrote that song. Made a lot of money.
All right. Well, it's true. That was everything Risky Business and what we've been watching. Let us know what you think about Risky Business. Leave a comment down below. Is Tangerine Dream the best part of this movie? It could possibly be. It's really good.
Cool score.
Cool score. Let us know your other favorite Tangerine Dream movies down below, or your favorite albums and all that kind of stuff. And please like, subscribe, do all that social media stuff. It really does help spread the word, and we really do appreciate that. And stay tuned to Wednesday when we find out if you can buy love, and we'll find out. Maybe you can, maybe you can't.
Maybe.
And we'll see you soon, guys. Bye.